22 years ago, I started a bright, shiny career in television promotion.
Tonight, on the Night Beat.
7 years ago, I burned out. Hard. I didn't realize it at the time, but when a neurodivergent brain tries to conform to a neurotypical world for too long, burnout is maybe not inevitable, but dangerously likely. Oops. I'm lucky to have an excellent therapist and genuinely wonderful friends, including my stellar spouse. But there's one part of burnout that I didn't have a handle on until recently. To get there, I had to find the opposite of video editing. And that was tough because I'm Niki, and I know videos. When I wax poetic about video editing, I know that I'm romanticizing my own experience with the craft. I'm a romantic. What can I say? To me personally, video editing is magical. As I've previously mentioned, I learned to edit video VCR to VCR as a kid in the 90s, about a decade before I ever edited on the computer. Back then, making a new video from already existing videos was a very hands-on process. It was slow, intentional, methodical, but also messy, and I loved it. But I'm also a realist. I know that sometimes the answer to why are you editing? For what reason are you willing to spend hundreds of hours doing this every month? Maybe as simple as, in order to make a living. That's valid. But if we're talking about real creative momentum, neurospicy brains like mine need better artistic motivation than throwing myself into the grinder of ever-increasing capitalistic demands. Video editing via computer is one of the most important technological advancements in our culture, and I am grateful for it every single day of my life. Unfortunately, it also opened up the floodgates for the media grind. As a promo producer, I was that one cog in the machine that turned chicken into chicken salad, as the saying goes. Show me a news story and I'll turn out several reasons to tune in tonight at 10 or 11 on the East Coast. And that's the grind. Make content, make it fast, make us look good. Content creators know it well. I've been fascinated by the news industry since childhood, and I felt so lucky to stumble into a related career. I also worked with a lot of wonderful and talented people, so it was difficult to admit that the expectations of the job were incompatible with my needs. Don't get me wrong. When I left my job, I was in total burnout, not just creative burnout. Recovering from total burnout is complicated and definitely worth talking about, but it's not the subject of this particular video. What I want to talk about in particular is how, even as I was recovering from total burnout, that is, even as I was developing new strategies to help me thrive with a new understanding of how my brain and body work, even with all that, I kept experiencing creative burnout. Here was my problem. For so long, I put all of my creative eggs in one basket because, quite frankly, I'm monotropic brained. It's an attention style that heavily correlates with neurodivergence. Monotropic minds tend to have their attention pulled more strongly towards a smaller number of interests at any given time, leaving fewer resources for other processes, and thus tend to limit the number of different subjects I focus on in order to improve my ability to engage with the nuances of those subjects. So, I had to make some very intentional changes. This was difficult for me to see at first because video editing is so integral to how I express myself. I have time to learn a new skill. Guess I should learn how to film myself so I can do more editing. Oh, let's learn pixel art and then we can animate it for video editing. Oh, time to refilm myself because I messed up the lighting. Should I get back into 3D modeling so I can create all my graphics from scratch, for video editing? Oh, damn it. Now I have to refilm myself because I keep screwing up the nuances of this new skill I'm learning. Why can't I get the shot right for video editing? Trying to skills max my way to creative fulfillment was not only incredibly short-sighted, it was also antithetical to why I started video editing in the first place. As a kid, I taught myself video editing because in the 1990s, I didn't have any access to instructional material. I didn't worry about how to make the proper cuts. I just edited because I loved the way it felt to be doing it. There was no objective incorrect answer, just a bunch of creative micro decisions that felt more and more right. I just loved making things. And then, last year, I picked up embroidery again for the first time since childhood. My last time hand embroidering had been a quilt square for Pioneer Week at school. Did I mention I grew up in the southern US? And could you tell from my mannerisms? Let me know in the comments below. And although I love the idea and the look of hand embroidery, I was so intimidated by the number of techniques and the names and the patterns and all the things that I couldn't follow. I was sure I was gonna get it wrong, so I didn't try for decades. But then a friend had an extra beginner-friendly kit with a water-soluble pattern printed on the fabric and instructions clearly laid out, so I gave hand embroidery another shot. And here is the result. It's not perfect, but it is important because this one project let me experience two things. First, just like there is no one right way to edit, there is no one right way to embroider. There are plenty of techniques and recommended practices. People have been doing this for centuries. What's most important is just getting started and figuring out what aspects of the craft you most enjoy. The second thing I learned was just how therapeutic it is to touch thread. As far as I know, that's not a weird euphemism, but please let me know in the comments if touching thread also means something else. What I mean is the actual experience of physically handling the materials is incredibly relaxing. And yes, I find something charming about working in a craft that can be completely removed from the digital realm.
Did I mention I'm from the
southern US? So I kept at it, selfishly backstitching designs and motifs that appeal to me. I stitched eyeballs and galaxies, puns and possums, freaky little guys and David Byrne lyrics, you know, weirdo stuff. And that joyful experience let me practice the backstitch with abandon. So at this point, the backstitch is part of my muscle memory, but embroidery is still slow work compared to video editing. And that contrast between slow stitching and fast editing is important. It's why for me, embroidery serves as the opposite of video editing. When I'm creatively blocked, when I'm burnt out, when I'm otherwise just like depressed and too foggy brained to do anything related to editing, I can still stitch. Like feeling the markers rub the page of a coloring book, I can stitch for the pure tactile enjoyment of it. No pre-planning needed, just sashiko thread, stitched along shapes. Like I said at the start of this whole thing, I'm a realist. I earn a living as a video editor. If you want to talk to me about my editing services, send me a message at nikiknowsvideos.com. I would love to talk to you. I enjoy my work because there are a lot of fun aspects to this job. But the thing I forgot was that fun at work isn't the same as play. No matter how much I enjoy working on each project, no matter how much of myself I put into the final product, at the end of the day, it's ultimately someone else's. So this channel is where I get to play with the ideas that matter to me. In my first video on this channel, my goal was to present video editing as an accessible art. The overall message was, video editing is neat, and if you want to try it, you absolutely should. In my second video, I demonstrated some of the nuances that non-video editors often miss because I wanted to help viewers appreciate the multitude of decisions that go into the process of video creation. In my third video, I gave a glimpse of my experience in order to help broaden perceptions around what kinds of brains can edit. And in my fourth video, I'm singing praises to the ecstatic experience of touching thread? Sort of. But I'm also starting something new. As much as I love video editing, and I hope I've proven it, but yes, I do. I love video editing. So much of it, most of it actually, is digital. I've edited hundreds upon hundreds of hours of footage. Projects that were each critical for their own reason, and they, fill up hard drives? I mean, I'm not complaining. I just want something tangible for my artistic efforts from time to time. So for every video essay, I'm also going to make an embroidery piece, and I'm going to keep doing this for exactly as long as it remains a source of inspiration and not of pressure or stress. I started with the first 3 videos from this channel, challenging myself to use any theme other than video editing. If you want to see how I pulled that off, check out the shorts that are linked in the description. In future videos on this channel, I'm going to continue to use my video editing skills to help me communicate about related topics that interest me. For example, I am so excited to talk about how the media theory part of my education prepared me intellectually, sort of, kind of, mostly, for the dystopia we're experiencing. I'll also take some time to celebrate some of my other favorite special interests and creative communities online. And along the way, I'll share more of my experience and even inside looks at some other projects that I've been working on. Also in future videos, more embroidery. Speaking of which, for today's piece, I wanted to combine elements of traditional embroidery. Whoa, look, it's a circular hoop! With a vague sense of Technicolor noise. And by that I mean something that kind of reflected my earliest synaptic memories of what it felt like to edit as a child. And what goes better in an embroidery hoop than a pithy saying. Instead of measure twice, cut once, my motto is film thrice, edit once, in honor of the way I have to keep recording in order to give myself the best footage to work with. It is a bit frustrating in the moment. Why can't I get the shot right for video editing? But I'm learning so much from my mistakes. Speaking of which, can you believe I only had to reshoot this video once? So far, fingers crossed. And in the original script for this, it says, speaking of which, can you believe I didn't have to reshoot this video? Like, I knew I was cursing myself when I was writing it, but I was like, oh, it'll be funny however it turns out. And I hope it turned out this time, because if it didn't, it may just never happen. Apparently, I don't love video editing that much. No, I do, because I'll record it again. That's how I am. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you want to talk to me about video editing, drop me a line at nikiknowsvideos.com. And don't forget to like this video if you liked it, and subscribe to the channel, because yes, those things really do help the channel grow. And thank you so much to everyone who's already done that, and for all the supportive comments. All engagement is technically good engagement to the algorithm, so I guess negative comments technically have an upside, but I haven't had to cheer myself up with that truism yet, because y'all have been great. So thanks, and I hope to see you again soon. Like I said at the top, I'm a realist. I know this video is going to actually take 20 minutes to record, even though it's only a minute of stuff.